Week 13 and our final assignment in Design 1, Semester 1 class. So wrapping up. So what I want to do now, what we did the last 2 weeks is 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective, making use of very simple 3D forms, boxes, cylinders, and cone shapes. So now I want to have a practical application for it and use the theories and make it work for a 2-point perspective background. So I want to do a setup in this video, and the next one I'll have the follow along video on doing that 2-point interior. So the elements we're going to be making use of is we're going to have a room, a corner angle, 3/4, 2-point perspective. We're going to have a chair, an ottoman, a vase with a plant, a bookcase, and we'll have some books in there, and a window on the wall. Okay, so I'll take a look at those contents in 1-point perspective. So this is pretty straightforward. That we have our chair, our ottoman, here's that plant in a pot, a bookcase, and the window and looking outside. So the whole idea is structure and making the elements fit in the room so that it would be a working background layout for a scene in a film. So that's exactly what we're after here. So this is one variation. Here's another one that I was playing around with. So, you know, just finding that horizon line where the vanishing point is, and just placing and sizing and playing with proportions and such. So how do we get there when it comes to 2-point perspective? So I've done some various variations. So in the red here is actually the artwork, but this is where the vanishing points should be, well outside of the artwork. So we're working on this artwork. We just got to make sure everything's working towards those imaginary vanishing points to make it work. Okay, so not necessarily going to put a grid everywhere. I just want to know that, use our knowledge of a grid being on the ground and in the sky, and how everything will line up accordingly to make that work. Okay, so not unusual in the industry, if you're going to do a layout like this, that you may do a smaller thumbnail and actually have your vanishing points and work it out in a rough, and then blow this up full-size page, and then work out and fine-tune the elements within that background. And again, that could be in different sizes. So, I mean, here's another one I had done, maybe a little cleaner, working this one out. So this is my artwork, and outside is where the vanishing points are. And the reason for that is so that we don't get so many weird distortions and things look more natural to how we would view the interior of a room, and we want things to look relevant and not distorted or weird angles happening. So that information implemented, I've got a bunch of layouts, backgrounds, and such that were done at my studio for Rescue Heroes that were worked on. So I saved some of the roughs and things. So here's a blue rough for an interior. And this wasn't so much for a layout as it was for a design, working things out. A 2-point perspective, and the idea is you got a corner of a room, and that could be anywhere around here. But the idea is we're seeing some ceiling, we're seeing floor, we have a wall to the right and a wall coming to the left, and they all are converging to 2 different vanishing points, and that working out. Okay. So what we also have in this one, here's another room, typical sort of room. Most elements are oriented to the walls. So again, there's that center line here of the corner, and which is all vertical. And then these lines converging off to a vanishing point out that way, and these ones going off to that way. And then we have some chairs kind of off in a different perspective because they're not lined up to the same angle as the walls and such. But anyways, good solid structure, that's what I'm after. So these are just blues working out and working that structure and angles and things out. What else I've got to show you here are some final layouts. So here is a master control room for Major Powers, which was a toy line that I had worked on. So designing a direct-to-video DVD episodes based on this new toy line. So this was kind of a command center. The rest of them here are rescue heroes. And rescue heroes, they traveled all over the world. So here's an example of kind of a Maya, Aztec sort of inside of the pyramid. But all the perspective and such, all the structure is there. And then picking up details and really getting across the era and the subject matter and working out. Everything has real nice detail to it. This is an original pencil. And when you get right down, why we work big on bigger paper is so, let me just focus there. We can see this detail when we get in small. But good structure, good detail that we can really make out. Look at the angles on those steps, all change with perspective in relationship to the horizon line, and then other solid pieces to that. Okay, so, and this is a typical required cleanup and finish to a layout, be it for just design and color purposes or for the actual background. There we go, nice elongated one. This is inside a gondola going up a ski hill. And look at all those skis and all of them, every line's worked out. 2-point perspective going on. There's the corner of this small room and everything radiating out from that. So very cool. More traditional sort of rooms, but again, having very specific cultural sort of details and artifacts in it, because again, rescue heroes, they're all over the world saving from disasters and things. But the chairs, everything, again, there's that corner of the room, bit of ceiling, more floor, and everything fitting properly in 2-point perspective and good solid structure. That's what we're after. And let's see what else we got here. Another sort of theme to cultural wise and that background. Different sort of textures, different sort of building materials thought out and working on here. We got nice planners and things going on, and chairs and tables, and everything is all working to that vanishing point, horizon line, vanishing point, perspective, structure, all extremely important. That's what we're after. And then here's the last one I've got. And this one is a 1-point perspective from kind of high. So we're not doing 1 point. I want to do a 2-point, but 1 point can work as well in some cases. So this is a smaller room, so we're seeing the far wall, we see the left wall, the right wall, and it's from quite a bit above, because if we try to figure out where the horizon line is, it'd be way up here somewhere. And how do we know? We're looking down at everything. All these shelves. We're not looking down at this shelf. So the horizon line has got to be lined up here somewhere, so that all this is tapering towards that vanishing point over here. We talked about ellipses and things. If we find all the ellipses in the room and seeing how they work in structure and perspective, that these would be round dials, but because we're on an angle, they're shallow ellipses. And again, as we look down, the ellipses get bigger as they get further away from that horizon line. So something to observe. Check photographs, check the world around you to observe that and make sure that is what's happening. And, go through this process in the next tutorial and explore it. Work up what I've got. Also, follow along on that one, or if you want to add your own technique, details, and everything to it, please do. Be creative with it as well. But I do want to see horizon line, vanishing points, and that structure and everything working properly. Because this is the goal. This is a professional layout background for a TV show. So, this is where we need to get to. So I know there's only first semester, but I want you to be aware and the importance of designing and drawing and using all of these skills and requirements to get to professional quality. So we know the goal. We're going to chip away at it and see if we get there. So the next tutorial right after this is follow along that simple room using those components to create that 2-point vanishing point perspective.